Well, good morning, everybody. I must say, you look much friendlier than the usual crowd in Strasbourg I have to speak to. This is my first UKIP conference back as the re-elected leader. As you might remember, I did stand down in 2009 in order to pursue some other political activities, and I attempted to get my private pilot's licence, which unfortunately went rather wrong. I've been back for 100 days, and what a momentous 100 days it's been. Just a few weeks in to taking on the job again, something remarkable happened. I went along that morning to buy the newspapers, and for the first time, a national newspaper, the Daily Express, had come out saying, Britain must leave the EU. So I would suggest to all of you, that today's must-have accessory is the Daily Express, and make sure you all subscribe to it. But of course, there was another by-election that's taken place since Oldham. You don't remember? Then there was one this Thursday, honestly, and it took place in Barnsley. And I have to say, I've known Jane Collins a long time. She's done a lot of great work organisationally for this party. I simply had no idea just how damn good she was going to be as a candidate, both on the doorsteps and on the television. Jane, we all pay tribute to that fantastic campaign that you fought in Barnsley, and to the whole team that made it happen. Thank you very much. Of course, we've been used to it in European elections. We came second in 2009, right across the entire United Kingdom. We beat the Liberal Democrats. We beat the governing Labour Party of the day, and how very sweet that particular victory was. But it's as if that's all been forgotten. It's as if the media think that UKIP is just a tiny, little, peripheral, fringe party. So they all seem to be rather surprised. But just in case they've forgotten, we came second in Barnsley, we beat the Lib Dems, we beat the Conservative Party. That vote in Barnsley is not a one-off. That vote in Barnsley shows there is a fundamental change in this country about how people feel about politics, about how people feel about UKIP. That result in Barnsley is going to be our springboard to bigger and better things. I have no doubt. So we go on from here. We go on from here. We're fighting 1,000 council seats in England on May the 5th. We're fighting in Scotland, in Wales, in Northern Ireland, and you've seen those representatives this morning. We've got a hell of a big job to do, but we can remind ourselves that the European Union is no longer some academic debate. This is something that affects everyone's daily life. It is something that is now discussed by families at their dinner table. And just look at the agenda over the course of the last month. We've had the row over votes for prisoners, haven't we? I mean, it seems obvious to me. I mean, surely Eric Ilsley shouldn't have been entitled to vote from prison in the Barnsley by-election on Thursday. I mean, can anybody seriously think that that's a good idea? I don't. We've also had the debate about paedophile registers and whether people can appeal. And just in the last week we've seen that young women are going to have to pay 25% more for their car insurance, and older men are going to get lower annuity rates. I happen to think on all of those issues that the decisions that have been taken are wrong. But that isn't the point, is it? That isn't what matters. What matters is who takes those decisions. And those decisions are being taken by foreign courts. Those foreign courts and the EU institutions in front of them, they now make the law in this country, and we in UKIP say that that is illegitimate, and we intend to do something about it. I was told the other week that our fox had been shot. Well, I don't know what you say, Nigel. Just look at what happened in the Commons when they voted on the votes for prisoners issue. 222 members of Parliament voted to say that prisoners shouldn't get the vote, and only 34 MPs, I bet Ken Clarke was amongst them, although I have to say, He's rather more civilised in the green room than Michael Heseltine was the other day. So it was 222 to 34, and therefore the UKIP fox has been shot. Therefore Parliament has decided that prisoners won't get the vote. But you know, all that Parliament did on that day was to demonstrate its own impotence. Because that's what we sunk to. There is nothing we can do, ladies and gentlemen, with our vote. It doesn't matter if we change every MP. It doesn't matter if we have different governments. It doesn't matter because we've given away the ability to make those decisions. Our Parliament is impotent and our democracy has been sold. And perhaps even worse than that, it's clear to me that the government we have in today no longer believes in Britain. They've simply given up. And just think of what's happened since they came to power on the issue of defence. Extraordinary sight, wasn't it? Seeing those Nimrod aircraft being cut up. The fact that we haven't got any aircraft carriers until 2020. I mean, they might have been useful out in the Middle East, mightn't they? Because we sent those Hercules aeroplanes in without any fighter cover whatsoever. Oh, sorry, we couldn't have had any fighter cover, could we? Because we strapped the Harriers as well. And now we have men and women serving in the front line in Afghanistan, who when they come home will face the sack, and possibly even that'll be done by email. As another 10,000 troops are to go. David Cameron has reduced our defences to a Gilbert and Sullivan farce. And one of the policies that you're going to hear from Lord Monckton this afternoon is that to actually get us back to being in a position where we can defend this country, where we can operate effectively around the world, this is one area in which government expenditure needs to increase, and we say defence spending now needs to double, and that needs to happen very quickly indeed. In many ways, it is remarkable to think what a Tory-dominated government has done. For 13 years, for most of UKIP's existence, people would tell us, well, we agree with you, we like what you say, but we can't vote for you because we want to get the other lot out. We want to get Labour out. And anyway, they used to tell me, just you wait till David gets in. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just you wait till David gets in. Just you wait till George, or should I say Gideon, John, I'm sorry. Just you wait till Gideon's in number 11. They'll sort the whole thing out. You'll find out they're true Conservatives. You'll find out that these people will stand up for Britain. Well, let's just examine the record. I find it truly extraordinary that a Conservative-led government has, from the 1st of January this year, through 3 new European regulatory authorities, given away the management and control of Britain's biggest single industry, namely our financial services industry. They've given it away to these 3 new European organisations. There are people out there in the city who funded Cameron and the Tory party to the tune of millions of pounds, who feel totally and hopelessly betrayed. So now we have a French commissioner in Michel Barnier who says he doesn't like the Anglo-Saxon model, and his 3 pet regulatory authorities who will do, I believe, enormous damage to Britain's biggest industry. We should remind ourselves that in the calendar year of 2010 alone, 1 in 4 hedge funds actually left London and left the United Kingdom. So that's one thing that this government has done since they came to power. And then, of course, there's the other great Eurosceptic mystery in British politics, and he's called William Hague. Now, I know he's from Yorkshire, so perhaps I better be careful here in Scarborough, but there are many 10 years ago who thought that Hague was the great hope. The man who said, if you remember, vote for me and I will give you back your country. It was something that persuaded many Conservative voters. They would stick with the Tories and not come to UKIP. Well, Hague, as Foreign Secretary, has actually formally accepted the idea that the European Union should have its own foreign policy, and in making that decision, he has entrusted Baroness Ashton. She's not popular there. I'm very surprised. I would have thought an open-minded audience like you would have thought that somebody who served as the Treasurer for the campaign for nuclear disarmament for 3 years, ought to be in charge of our foreign policy. I'm very surprised at you. But William Hague accepted the fact that she can now speak on our behalf in many areas in the world. And then again, of course, there is the cast iron guarantee. John Galt mentioned it earlier. You know, he wrote in the Sun, Dave, didn't he? I give you this cast iron guarantee that a Conservative government will give you a referendum on the Lisbon Treaty. Well, that promise has gone pretty rusty. And you might have noticed last week that he was interviewed on Al Jazeera. And our Prime Minister was asked, should there not be then a referendum on our continued membership of the European Union so that the people of this country can sort out their futures and not have it done for them by career politicians? And Cameron's response, I think, said it all. He said, no, I don't think there should be a referendum on our membership of the European Union because I believe it's in Britain's best interests for us to remain a member of the European Union. So what he's saying is, he won't give you a vote because he fears what the answer might be. And he knows what is best for you, and that is that you should not be able to express your will on it. Frankly, that is nothing short of total, breathtaking arrogance, and we are going to teach him a lesson for that. In many parts of the country, our message has to be, if you are a patriotic, Eurosceptic Tory voter, your party no longer exists. And UKIP is the place for you. We've beaten them in the last 2 European elections. We've thrashed them into the ground recently in the Barnsley By Election. And according to YouGov, amongst the 18 to 24-year-olds in this country, UKIP is already ahead of the Liberal Democrats. And isn't that good news? Some again in the media class will find this difficult to comprehend or believe, but I put it to you folks that our aim, our goal between now and the next general election is that we aim to supplant and replace the Liberal Democrats, and we will be the 3rd biggest party in British politics. That is the task ahead of us. This party is on the up. This party increasingly is seen to be relevant to the lives of ordinary people. No longer is UKIP on the fringes of any national debate. We are right at the centre ground of public opinion in this country. We have a radical, forward-looking manifesto. It's not what we're against anymore, this nonsense that we're anti-European. We're not anti-European. I'm not anti-European. I love Europe. Goodness me, I've drunk more Rioja than most people alive. I mean, we love Europe. We love the diversity of Europe. We want to live in a Europe where sovereign nation states trade together, cooperate together, agree minimum standards, have reciprocal deals, do what neighbours ought to do in the 21st century. But we demand that we, the British people, take back our birthright, our right to govern ourselves, our right to make our own laws, our right, once again, to be a full, free country playing a global role. That is the vision that UKIP stands for. It is positive, it is forward-looking, it is on the up, and we will fight, fight and fight again until we win. Thank you.